Imagine you wake up, grab your phone, and your group chats are blowing up with explicit screenshots of you. Except it's not you. Someone used an AI tool to paste your face onto sexual images and sent them all around school, and people think that it's real. We all live online. If the law treats these synthetic images as a gray area, anyone in this class or younger siblings could be targeted, especially girls and young women. This is not just some internet drama. It can affect your friendships, your mental health, and what people think about you before you even walk into a room. To prepare for this speech, I read an April 2024 article in the Chicago Tribune by reporter Jeremy Gorner about bills in Congress, a 2023 Black Enterprise article by Stacey Jackson about a 14-year-old deepfake victim, and a 2025 BYU Law Review article by Taylor Percival James about how federal law is failing and how it could be fixed. So here's my claim. Federal law does not clearly cover hyper-realistic AI images of minors, and that gap causes real harm while platforms move too slowly, and Congress should close the loophole with a narrow amendment and a 24-hour takedown rule and evidence preservation. Right now, the law is behind the tech. AI can generate sexual images of minors that look like photos, even if no camera was used. But many of these images are not clearly illegal. In that 2023 Black Enterprise story, Stacey Jackson describes a 14-year-old girl who found AI deepfake porn using her face. She had never taken explicit photos, but the images spread through group chats and social media, and she had to publicly call this out just to be believed. This just shows how fast these types of things spread and how quickly someone's life can blow up over it. In a 2025 BYU Law Review article, Taylor Percival James explains that our main federal child exploitation laws were written for pictures of real abuse and a very narrow slice of virtual content. Hyper-realistic synthetic images made by AI often don't fit into these categories, which leaves prosecutors unsure on what they can charge, even when the harm is obvious. Victims are left with harassment, bullying, and a lasting online footprint. For girls and young women, being tied to sexual content, even if it's fake, can directly affect safety, reputation, and mental health. Imagine trying to apply for college or for a job, knowing that these images might still be out in the internet and permanently affect your future. And so, what should we do about this? Congress should update federal child exploitation laws to do three things. Clearly criminalize the creation, distribution, and possession of AI-generated child sexual abuse material. Require platforms to remove reported content within 24 hours and preserve basic evidence. And give victims a private right of action with statutory damages so they can sue, even when prosecutors are overloaded. To keep it narrow, the amendment should clearly define synthetic depiction, minor, distribution, and possession, and focus only on sexual depictions of minors. Platforms that follow the rules would get a safe harbor from most civil lawsuits. Each of these pieces matters. Clear crimes make it easier for prosecutors to act, and a 24-hour deadline forces platforms to focus on these really big issues and do something closer to the speed of the internet rather than the speed of paperwork. Evidence preservation and hashing keeps a record of who uploaded what and can help stop the file from popping up over and over again. James also argues that narrow, well-defined bans help protect minors can be written in a way that fits the Constitution. Gorner's reporting also shows that lawmakers are already talking about how to handle AI-generated child abuse material, which means that this idea is realistic, not just something that I made up. And one common objection is that if no real child was posed for the picture, then there's no real victim. However, in the case that Jackson reports on, he shows that this is not true. In many deepfakes, a real minor's face and identity are used as raw material, and the kid is the one who deals with the rumors, the screenshots, and the fear that a future teacher or employer will see these images. And even when a face is not directly copied, James points out that circulating synthetic child abuse images still normalizes the sexualization of minors and fuels this terrible demand. The harm is in the behavior of the creating, sharing, and consuming of that content. So, picture two futures. In the first future, we do nothing. AI keeps getting better and better, files multiply, and someone at your school or in this class gets targeted and spends months flagging posts, trying to convince people that the images are fake, and maybe they switch schools or try to delete all their socials just to escape it. And the people who made the images face almost no real consequences. In the second future, we pass a focused federal fix. When a synthetic abuse image is reported, platforms have to act fast. The file comes down, re-uploads are blocked, and victims have a clear civil path to damages instead of just hoping someone will step in and help. There is a paper trail for low enforcement and a clear rule book everyone has to follow. So, what do I want you to do? First, remember the core idea. The law is behind AI, and that gap harms minors, especially girls and young women. A narrow amendment, a 24-hour takedown rule, and evidence preservation are concrete steps to close that gap. Second, support a campus resolution that urges our House and Senate members to back this kind of amendment. Even a short statement from student government is one of the more simple things that we can do to show that we expect better protections. And third, if you ever see something that looks like synthetic child abuse material, don't save it and don't forward it. Note the URL and report it and make sure that it gets taken down. So to wrap things up, I've argued that our laws are behind AI and that this gap leaves minors exposed to fake sexual images that can haunt them for years, and that a narrow federal amendment with a 24-hour takedown rule and evidence preservation is a realistic way to start fixing that. We owe our classmates and our younger siblings some basic form of safety online. No child should have to stand up in front of their school and try to explain that a convincing viral image of them is fake. The law should not make them do that alone. So, thank you for listening to my speech.